Good evening.
Good evening.
I was just sitting here reminiscing over my life. Would y'all like to hear a little bit about it?
Yes.
My name is Anthony Aversi. You thought I was someone else, didn't you? I'll tell you about that story too. Anyway, I was born in 1811 in Sorrento, Italy. And as a very young boy, I wanted to go to the new country. So I hid away in the hull of a boat. Somewhere in the Mediterranean, the crew found me. Not sure what to do with such a young boy, they took me to the captain. He decided for my safety, he needed to make me his cabin boy so that I could get to the new land safely. We did. We entered through the port of New Orleans. And we're going through immigration, they asked me my name. I thought I was pretty clear. Anthony Aversi. They were like, what? Who? What did you say? He said, his name is John Davis. So I became John Davis. I guess that's the way they did it. New country, new name. It was all right by me. Fortunately, he raised me, and fortunately, I became a very prominent businessman in New Orleans. I owned lots of restaurants and saloons, all in the French Quarter, mostly on Common Street in St. Philip's. I met the love of my life, little Honora Haley, and we were married. In 1856, we'd had 2 sons, and I was ready for a vacation. Everyone said you should go to Last Island. It's a beautiful place, east of Terrebonne Bay. And so I did. I booked it. They said beaches were beautiful, lots of seashells, gentle breezes, big beautiful hotel, and probably 100 cottages. We set sail on a ship called the Star. The weather was bad, the waters were rough. We did not think a lot of it. But what we didn't realize is on the island, they had been experiencing this for several days. On Friday night, the 9th of August, about 10 p.m., the ballroom was loaded with people having a beautiful party, eating, drinking, dancing. The waters entered the ballroom. People realized this was probably a hurricane. It was time to go for safety. Some went back to the cottages and some went on the upper floors of the hotel. By 10 o'clock the next morning, they knew it would definitely be a bad hurricane. The weather had really deteriorated. But what they did not realize, it would be the first Category 4 ever reported in the United States. About 2 o'clock that afternoon, a 12-foot tidal wave completely engulfed the island, and nothing was left standing. No hotel, no cottages. Carcasses of animals, bodies of human beings were strewn up Bayou Bluff and on what was left of the island. Fortunately, our ship crashed onto Last Island. Monday morning, Captain Bailey and I went on land to see what survivors we could find. We pulled about 60 onto the hull of the boat. I got on a little sailboat, went up Bayou Bluff to the mainland to get help. About an hour after landing there, the ship Audrey set sail for the island. We didn't quite make it as we ran into a sandbar. We did get to the island eventually, but we assumed that sandbar was from the storm. Last Island was 1 island. Today it is 4. It is Raccoon, Trinity, Whiskey, and East Isle. The storm tore it into pieces. About 250 of the 500 people on the island survived. I was hailed a hero, a man who would leave his wife and children on an island that had been devastated by a storm. I felt I was doing the right thing. People needed help, and that included my family. There was a book written about this, and it's called Lost Last Island. And I mentioned it by name as one of the heroes. I hope that you'll consider reading it. It's a very interesting story. In 1857, I decided to move my family to Natchez, Mississippi. Not long after we arrived here, my wife gave birth to our daughter Honora, named for her mother. I became a riverboat captain on the Mississippi River, and I got back into the restaurant business. My restaurant here was called John Davis's Oyster Bar and Saloon. It was at the corner of Market and Pearl in the hotel that was there at that time. My wife passed away first. I have a little headstone over here to the left. You may notice it as you walk by with the candles. She deserved a beautiful peace. She was a beautiful wife and a loving mother. I died 7 years later, and Father Patrick Hayden performed my funeral service. You'll learn more about him at the top of the hill. Not long after I passed away, many years after I passed away, my family realized that I too am buried there. So they put up a headstone that says, in memory of the hero of Last Island, John Davis, a.k.a. Anthony Aversi. My name is John Grady Burns, and I am the great-great-grandson of John Davis. This is a photograph of John Davis on a brooch worn by my great-great-grandmother. And this is a walking cane that was presented to my great-great-uncle, John Grady, when he retired from the Natchez Fire Department. Also have the fortune of sporting a gold watch that belonged to my great-uncle, John Grady. I'm really glad my mama called me John Grady. I got all the goods. Thank you.